Fernando grew up in a modest house in the city, lovingly raised by his grandmother, Dona Benta. From an early age, he longed to meet his mother, a woman who had left him in his grandmother's care when he was still a helpless baby. Dona Benta had always told him comforting stories about his mother, but Fernando felt an emptiness in his heart, longing for real contact, for answers to his unanswered questions. As the years went by, Fernando worked hard to help his grandmother with the daily chores and dreamed of the day when he would finally meet his mother and discover the truth about her departure. He kept hope alive, even as he faced difficulties and challenges along the way. However, what Fernando didn't know was that this desire would lead him to experiences he had never imagined. All Fernando knew about his mother was that she became pregnant under the circumstances of a young and promising love. She and her father were deeply in love, dreaming of a future together. However, this dream was brought to an abrupt halt when Fernando's father died in a tragic car accident, leaving his mother devastated with child and not knowing how to move forward. Helpless and without the resources to raise a child on her own, Fernando's mother made the difficult decision to leave him in the care of her own mother, Senora Benta. Benta accepted the role of caring for her grandson with love and dedication, promising her daughter that she would do everything in her power to ensure Fernando's well-being. Benta was a kind and generous lady, with a heart as big as the sky. She welcomed Fernando into her arms from the moment he arrived on her doorstep, promising to look after him as if he were her own son. With her wisdom and tenderness, Benta provided Fernando with a loving and safe home, where he grew up surrounded by affection and understanding. So Fernando grew up under the loving care of his grandmother, while his mother faced her own challenges and struggles. She taught him to read and write, to cook and clean and to be a good and honest person. She knew that Fernando missed his mother, but he never spoke ill of her, always hoping that one day she would return. Although separated from his biological mother, Fernando always kept a special place in his heart for her, nurturing the hope that one day he would be able to rebuild their relationship and fill the void left by her absence. Despite his happy and fulfilling life with Grandma Benta, Fernando couldn't shake the feeling of emptiness that accompanied him. As loving as his grandmother was, he always felt a hole in his heart, a gap left by his mother's absence. He longed for answers, to understand why his mother had left him and why she had never come back for him. This uncertainty haunted him, leaving him restless and determined to discover the truth about his origins. He longed to meet his mother, to understand why she had abandoned him and to find a solution to the open wound that her absence had left in his heart. One evening, as the fire crackled warmly in the living room, Fernando sat next to his grandmother with a determined expression on his face. He looked into his grandmother's gentle eyes and took a deep breath before speaking with determination. "Grandma, the time has come. I want to find my mother." Benta looked at him with tenderness and understanding, knowing that this day could come sooner or later. She squeezed Fernando's hand gently and nodded, encouraging him to go ahead with his wish. Fernando felt a whirlwind of emotions inside him: anxiety, hope, fear, and expectation. He knew this journey would be challenging and full of uncertainty, but he felt it was something he needed to do to find peace in his heart. With Benta's loving support, Fernando began to plan his search for his mother, knowing that each step would bring him closer to discovering the truth about his origins and, perhaps, finding the reconciliation he so longed for. Benta shared with Fernando the only clue she had about her daughter, that she lived in a small town far away. Although she didn't know how her daughter was now, nor did she have any recent news about her, Benta was determined to help Fernando find her mother. With hearts full of hope and determination, Fernando and Benta embarked on a journey to the town where Fernando's mother was believed to live. The road was long and full of challenges, but they were determined to keep going, united by the desire to find answers and reconciliation. During the trip, Fernando and Benta shared stories, memories and dreams, further strengthening the special bond between them. Benta offered Fernando words of encouragement and comfort, reminding him that no matter what happened, he would always have her love and support. As they approached the small town, Fernando's anxiety grew. He didn't know what to expect at the end of the journey, but he was determined to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together with Benta, he felt braver and more confident to face the unknown. After a long journey, Fernando and Benta finally reached the small town. They stayed in a simple inn, where they could rest from the exhausting journey. Fernando was eager to begin the search for his mother, while Benta was happy to be able to help her grandson in his quest, but at the same time, her heart was tight with worry. She didn't know how her daughter would react to meeting Fernando again after so many years. While resting at the inn, Fernando and Benta discussed the next steps in their search. They decided to start by looking for information in the city about the possible location of Fernando's mother. Fernando was full of determination, but also nervous about the possibility of finding his mother and confronting his past. Benta offered Fernando words of encouragement, reminding him that no matter what happened, she would be there for him. She also shared stories about their daughter, recalling memories from the past and expressing her hope that they could find a way to reconcile as a family. As night fell over the city, Fernando and Benta prepared themselves for what lay ahead. With hearts full of hope and determination, they were ready to face the unknown and search for answers they had long hoped to find. The next day, Fernando and Benta set off in search of Fernando's mother, their hearts full of anticipation and nervousness. As they walked through the streets of the small town, they met a kind lady who was tending to her garden. They asked her for information about Fernando's mother, and the lady, with a kind smile, pointed in the direction of a small, simple house at the end of the street. Fernando felt a whirlwind of emotions as he looked at the house, his mind spinning with thoughts of what would happen when he finally found his mother. Benta put her hand on Fernando's shoulder, giving him comfort and silent support as they prepared to head towards the house indicated. As they approached the house, Fernando's heart beat faster and faster. He tried to control his breathing as he rang the doorbell, and the sound echoed through the still morning air. A middle-aged woman opened the door. It was Sarah, a friend of Fernando's mother, and Fernando's eyes met hers, revealing a mixture of surprise and recognition. Benta remained by Fernando's side, holding his hand tightly while they waited for the woman's reaction to their door. The tension in the air was palpable, and Fernando could barely contain the flood of emotions that washed over him. He wondered if he would finally find the answers he had been searching for, and if he could finally find the peace he had been longing for. With a lump in their throats and a mixture of disappointment and hope, Fernando and Benta explained to the woman that they were looking for Fernando's mother. Sarah, Fernando's mother's friend, looked at them with curiosity and a touch of compassion in her gaze. She invited them in, offering them seats in the modest living room. Benta thanked them for their hospitality and explained that they were on a journey to find her daughter, whom she had lost touch with a long time ago. Fernando's mother's friend listened attentively, nodding in understanding. Sarah, Fernando's mother's friend, looked at Benta and Fernando with an expression of compassion mixed with regret. She could feel the anxiety and hope radiating from them as they waited for news about Fernando's mother. With a heavy sigh, Sarah mustered the courage to share the painful truth she held. She looked at Fernando, seeing the expectation in his eyes, and then at Benta, whose heart was already heavy with the uncertainty of her daughter's whereabouts. In a gentle but sad voice, Sarah told Fernando and Benta that her mother had died a few years ago, the victim of a serious illness that took her very quickly. She explained that, although she knew of Benta's existence, she wasn't sure if Benta was aware of her daughter's health situation. Shock and sadness enveloped Fernando and Benta as they absorbed the devastating news. Fernando felt as if the ground had been ripped out from under his feet, and Benta struggled to hold back tears at the loss of her daughter. Sarah offered her condolences and expressed her sadness at the loss of her friend, promising to be there to support them in whatever way they needed. With heavy hearts, they said goodbye to Sarah and left, facing a mixture of emotions as they processed the sad reality that Fernando's mother was no longer with them. Fernando was stunned by the news he had just received. Sitting on a bench in the small town square, he felt as if he was in a daze, unable to fully process the reality of what had been revealed. Sarah's words echoed in his mind, repeating themselves incessantly like a dark mantra. "Your mother is dead," rang in his ears, each syllable a stab of pain and despair in his heart. Tears rolled down Fernando's face, his emotions a raging storm inside him. Poor Fernando. He felt as if he had lost a part of himself, a part he had never had the chance to truly know. His thoughts went back to all the times he had imagined meeting his mother, hugging her and hearing her voice. Now, those dreams have vanished like smoke, replaced by the cruel reality of death. Benta, by his side, held his hand tenderly, silently sharing his pain. She too was suffering, mourning the loss of her daughter and the sadness of her grandson. Time seemed suspended around them, the world kept spinning while they remained immersed in their anguish. Fernando knew he would have to find a way to move on, but for now he allowed himself to sink into the pain, honoring the memory of the mother he never had the chance to know. The sound of the knock on the inn's door echoed through the room, interrupting the silence of the night. Dona Benta got up in a hurry and went to the door, anxious to find out who might be calling at this late hour. On opening the door, she was surprised to see Sarah, holding a diary tightly in her trembling hands. Sarah's eyes were watery, reflecting the sadness and compassion she felt for Fernando's fate. With tears in her eyes, Sarah handed the diary to Fernando, explaining that it belonged to his mother. She explained that Fernando's mother had left him the diary, a farewell letter written in sincere and emotional words. Fernando took the diary, holding it reverently while his hands trembled. He opened the diary and began to read, his emotions churning as he absorbed every word written by the mother he never had the chance to meet. Each page was a window into his mother's soul, revealing her innermost thoughts, her dreams, her fears and her immense affection for him. Fernando's tears fell freely as he read, his broken heart finding fleeting comfort in the pages of the diary. Benta and Sarah stood in silence, witnessing the pain and healing that the diary was bringing to Fernando. It was an emotional and moving farewell, a way for his mother to communicate with him from beyond the grave, assuring him that he was loved, valued and remembered forever. When Fernando finished reading the diary, he looked at Sarah and Benta with gratitude and a new sense of peace. He knew that his mother was always with him, no matter where he was, and he would keep her precious words in his heart forever. As they returned home, Fernando felt a mixture of emotions. The weight of losing his mother still weighed heavily on his shoulders, but at the same time, a sense of gratitude and growing admiration for Benta filled his heart. As he gazed at the landscape passing by the bus window, Fernando couldn't help but admire his grandmother's strength and unconditional love. She had been his rock throughout the journey, supporting him and sharing his pain, even as she faced her own struggles and sadness. Benta's tender gaze, now bathed in the evening light, was comforting to Fernando. He realized more than ever that she was the most important person in his life, his anchor in turbulent times, his inexhaustible source of love and wisdom. Fernando felt a wave of deep gratitude for having Benta by his side. Not only had she helped him find answers about his mother, but she had also guided him with kindness and compassion on his journey of self-discovery and emotional healing. As the bus approached his home, Fernando knew that although the loss of his mother would leave an indelible mark on his heart, he would find solace and support in Benta, his loving and devoted grandmother. Together, they would face whatever challenges life threw at them, united by love and the unbreakable bond they shared. The moral of this story is that love and family support are the strength that sustains us in life's most difficult moments. Even in the face of adversity and loss, the bond between grandmother and grandson proved unshakable, offering comfort, understanding and mutual strength to overcome challenges. Valuing and cultivating family ties, showing love and gratitude, is fundamental to finding happiness and balance, even in the face of the trials that life has in store for us.